Hello, I'm Lieutenant Dan Fritz, and it's my pleasure to host this episode of Firewatch, a local program produced for you by the proud members of your Bedford Heights Fire Department. In 2010, there were 1.3 million fires reported in the United States. These fires caused over 3,100 deaths and caused nearly 18,000 injuries. In addition to this loss of life, the American public suffers $9.7 billion in property loss each year. Today, we're going to take a look at some of the major causes of these tragedies. Unfortunately, many of these causes can be found in your home or apartment right now. But before we look at these common hazards, we'd like to take a moment to remind you of another cost. On average, 100 firefighters lose their lives each year responding to or working in these hazardous conditions. Additionally, many more are injured each year, with over 71,000 in 2010 alone. The costs associated with property, and more importantly, human lives, are staggering. Unfortunately, many of us have convinced ourselves that these are accidents and are therefore unavoidable. The truth is that accidental fires aren't always accidental and are most often preventable. That's where you come in. In some countries, residents are actually imprisoned for careless behavior leading to a fire. As members of society, we are responsible for the well-being of our families and, to a certain extent, our neighbors. Today's show is going to focus on the notion that we should do everything possible to ensure that our actions don't affect our loved ones, our neighbors, and those who have taken an oath to protect us in our time of need. Don't let it be your fault. A concept which stresses the point that you do not want to be responsible for the loss of life, the loss of your property or your neighbor's property, and lastly, the loss of the brave men and women who have dedicated their lives to protect you in your time of need. Our first segment is going to highlight some of the most common fires we see here in Bedford Heights. Cooking fires in the kitchen are responsible for many fires each year in our single-family residential and apartment building structures. We will discuss the causes, extinguishment, fire department response, and most importantly, the prevention of these fires. Here to introduce our first segment is Captain Bill Astelos of the Bedford Heights Fire Department.
Thanks, Dan. Today we're here at the Parma Fire Department, where we can use a simulator to help demonstrate some causes and effects of the more common cooking fires that we see in Bedford Heights. We're going to show you what you can do in the event of such fires, and even more importantly, how you can prevent them. Let me introduce firefighter paramedic Mark Famiano. He's a certified fire instructor and he teaches at Tri-C Fire Academy.
Thanks, Bill. As members of the fire department, we often call out to kitchen fires, but more specifically, cooking fires.
All too often, we arrive to find heavy damage to your home or apartment, and in some cases, adjoining apartments. Today, we want to focus on the prevention of these fires. In other words, don't let it be your fault.
We're going to start by showing some common causes associated with fires located in the kitchen. Have you ever encountered one of these examples in your home?
If so, then ask yourself, how would you feel if the structural damage, water damage, smoke damage, and even the possible loss of life was your fault? By following some simple steps, you can reduce the likelihood that these fires will take place. The first thing that we need to point out is that your range gets hot, and many have standing pilots that stay lit all of the time. You should never place combustibles on, in, or against your range and stovetop. As a matter of fact, we were just on a kitchen fire a few months ago that was caused by just that. The residents placed grocery bags on the stovetop and left the home. The pilot light on the stove ignited the combustibles that had been left, and it led to a fire that never should have happened. Another easy prevention tactic is to keep your oven and stovetop clean. There have been incidences where there was spilled food in the oven or on the stovetop that led to fires. A very common type of cooking fire is when a pan of cooking oil hits ignition point and ignites. We have all been on many fires that started this way. There are many myths regarding how to handle these fires, such as using flour, baking soda, or salt. These don't work. And whatever you do, never put water on these fires or attempt to move or carry the pan of burning oil. There are two ways that we would recommend extinguishing these fires. The first thing to do is turn off the burner. One way is to simply place a lid on the pan. Once the lid is placed, do not remove it. Allow the oil to cool. Otherwise, it can reignite when the lid is lifted. If you don't have the correct lid for the pan, a larger cookie sheet would work just as well.
The second way we recommend putting out kitchen fires is using a fire extinguisher that is rated for kitchen fires. You should keep a small ADC extinguisher in your kitchen away from the stove so that it can be accessed without placing yourself in harm's way. Remove the cap or pull the pin. Aim the nozzle, squeeze the trigger, and sweep at the base of the fire. These extinguishers can be purchased at a home improvement store and are relatively inexpensive. I'm standing here with Captain Tony D'Alessio, Parma Fire Department. What an awesome presentation, Tony. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. People don't realize that the boiling or ignition temperature of cooking oil is over 600 degrees. And the boiling point of water, of course, is only 212 degrees. So when the water hits the 600-degree oil, it instantly vaporizes. It aerosolizes the oil and makes it a very explosive mixture, and that's why you see the great expansion and the huge flame production that you do.
Remember to call 911 if you have any incidents like these in your home or apartment. Then we can come and make sure that the fire is completely out and it's not gone to areas that you cannot see.
We hope this segment has properly illustrated some common causes of fires in the kitchen.
And more importantly, we hope that you now understand what you can do to help prevent these fires. And if one should occur, how to properly follow the steps to keep you and your family safe.
Welcome back. While kitchen fires account for many of the fires we see in the southeast Cleveland region, we do not want to limit our fire prevention efforts there. Our most recent statistics for 2010 revealed that there were 384,000 residential fires that year. That equals one home fire every 84 seconds. Most of these fires were caused by human error and were most certainly preventable. Let's head back to Mark and Bill, who will show you some of the common fire hazards found throughout the homes and apartments in Bedford Heights.
Hey, thanks, Dan. We hope that you all enjoyed our segment about kitchen fires and that you're now better prepared to prevent them. In many cases, these fires are preventable, and that is up to you.
While cooking is the leading cause of all residential fires, fires in bedrooms, basements, and living areas take an obvious toll. These statistics reveal other common areas where fires start. Now we're going back on location to illustrate some of the hazards we find in these areas. We all tend to get complacent at times, but there are things that you can do in and around the house to prevent these hazards. Come on, let's go take a look.
As firefighters, we have all responded to fires that were the result of these unsafe conditions. But like Mark said, it only takes a little effort and some diligence to make sure that we are not at fault. In many cases, it just involves some housekeeping and some common sense.
Be sure to keep areas around appliances clean and free of debris.
Clean the lint traps in your dryer after each use. And be sure to dispose of the lint and old dryer sheets away from the dryer. Remember, these dryers have heating elements, and they could be the source for ignition of fires.
Never store flammable liquids next to an appliance or an open flame. And always use an approved container.
Storing boxes or other flammable materials, including hanging clothes, near a furnace or water heater is definitely asking for trouble.
Have your furnace and water heater inspected every year by a certified technician. And if you have a fireplace, make sure to have a professional chimney sweep clean the flue at least once every year.
When using power strips, always follow the manufacturer's guidelines and never plug one into another.
Never leave a lit candle unattended. And always use proper candle holders. As we stated before, with a little effort, these hazardous conditions can be corrected.
These have been some hazardous conditions that we often see in homes and apartments. Conditions like these lead to residential fires every day, putting residents, their property, and firefighters in extreme danger. Now we're here at Tri-C Fire Training Academy with Captain D'Alessio from Parma Fire Department. Can you tell us a little bit about this training exercise we're about to do?
Yeah, this is our live fire multi-training facility. We received this from an Assistance to Firefighters grant in 2010 from the Department of Homeland Security. We use it for a number of training evolutions. We can do live burns in it to get as realistic training as possible.
We want you to know this is not how we want to meet you.
We use it for training our new personnel, and also Cuyahoga Community College uses it for their fire training academy to train the future generation of firefighters.
We'd like to thank the Parma Fire Department for allowing us to use their simulator back at their station to show the cooking fires, and out here at Tri-C for their live fire training exercises. Remember, don't let it be your fault.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Firewatch. Keep your eyes open for future episodes. And remember our motto here at the Bedford Heights Fire Department: learn about fire safety and help us to help you.